Good morning. I posted yesterday on the Facebook page about how I was going to post the weekly forecast for this week on today. Today is the full moon. It is happening in the sign of Sagittarius. And so I really wanted to post this video today to talk about that. That way you guys can consciously work with this energy. So before I jump into exactly what this full moon means, let us talk a little bit about what was happening yesterday. So on Monday, yesterday, the Mercury, it's been out of retrograde, as we all know, and it has moved back into the sign of Gemini. And Mercury in this sign really wants to express itself. Through writing or voicing or ooh, excuse me, or speaking its truth. So there are things revolving around this archetype that are happening this week. This week is leading up to next week's summer solstice. So the summer solstice is whenever the sun moves into Cancer. So this solstice is really setting the stage and marking a new cycle, life cycle for all of us. I mean, it's reminiscent of the summer. What happens in the summer? Things become in full, they come to full fruition. And with the sign of Cancer, it's really about the foundations that we all have and being able to nurture oneself and to validate oneself. And I'm not going to go too much into that this week because I just want to concentrate on this one. And I will talk more about the summer solstice next week's video. But the it was worth mentioning because there's so much that is going on in this week to prepare us for this new cycle that's about to start. So yesterday, the moon was already in Sagittarius and it was making an aspect called an inconjunct to the Uranus Venus conjunction happening in the sign of Taurus. And so it was really setting the stage for this full moon that's occurring and all of the other energetics for this week. So what I mean by that is this inconjunct can be some type of like internalized crisis or turmoil. It doesn't have to necessarily, those sound kind of like yucky words, but they don't have to be like an existential crisis. It can just be like this instance that's happening where you need to act and you might be afraid to, or there might be something revolving around a belief structure and there's a crisis in, do I believe this? Is this my belief or is this conditioned upon me? And so that really is the energetic that kind of sets up shop for this week and can be felt all throughout this week. Just because it didn't happen yesterday doesn't mean that this isn't an energetic that isn't going to not come up this week for you. So I keep dropping this because I have a fan going. So let's talk about that. If there's this inconjunct and it's this kind of crisis in action or crisis in belief, and it's happening from a Sag moon to Uranus and Venus and Taurus. Well, this conjunction of the Venus and Uranus that happened in Taurus, and it's still in conjunction, it's in a new phase now, is really about innovation of self, and innovation and liberation of self, new ideas, new thoughts, new values, new meaning that's coming in. That is something that you've been working on for a while, that all of us have been if we've been consciously working with these energetics. And with the inconjunct from the Sag moon, This is really about speaking to the truth of the matter. How are you going to live in your authenticity? If Sag is not just about talking the talk, although it loves to talk the talk, it's also about walking the walk. And so the crisis can be about not really knowing how to go about walking the walk after you've talked it. And so with Uranus in this dynamic aspect, it's really wanting you to throw off and understand that the fear from what you've been doing and trying to move into the unknown. So it's almost like standing on this precipice of, these are my values. This is what gives me meaning to life. I want to stand in my authenticity, but how can I do this? I've never done this before. And so it kind of sets up shop. And then on Tuesday, which is today, we have the full moon happening in Sagittarius. And Sag as an archetype is very much about needing the freedom to explore, to obtain more knowledge, and to have the experiences to garner that knowledge. And so if you don't have the freedom to do that, it feels like you can feel stuck. But the great thing is that this is mutable energy. And so if you work with it and you just start putting one foot in front of the other, everything else will start to fall into play. It will shift the energy. It will keep the energy moving. And so the key here is to continue to keep the energy moving. Sag is all about universal and natural law. It's about our intuition. And with the full moon happening in Sagittarius, there's psychological content that's coming up regarding our authenticity and living in our personal truth. These are all archetypes of Sag. And Jupiter is the ruler of this full moon. And Jupiter is in the sign of Aries. And so there's this like it's punching up the volume on the need to have the freedom and the independence to experience whatever it is that our soul is having a desire to do right now. There is a square from this full moon to Neptune in the sign of Pisces. And so this is a call to action. Really, some of us can be understanding our disillusionments or maybe our idealisms revolving around a particular situation, place, or person, or organization of group. And I say that because there are some other dynamics that happen during the week. And so today is really a day that is going to give us some insight, and it is going to be on an intuitive base. And the cool thing about Sag is whenever we are consciously working with it, we understand and know the truth when we hear it or we feel it. And so it's really important today for you to pay attention to this. This is also, this square to Neptune is really about spiritualizing and furthering our spiritual development. And what I mean by that is personal growth. As simple and generalized as that is, it is really about personal growth. And if we are continuing to evolve and to grow, then our thinking and our beliefs are going to shift. And that is all what this full moon is about. It's a culmination of the old and the beginnings of the new. And so dropping into the energetics of this and taking the time, especially with the square to Neptune and the sun being in Gemini, to really be able to express oneself. So today would be a beautiful day to play music, to ground oneself in nature, to do some meditation, and some artwork, things of these kind of varieties, as a way to connect with what is larger than us. Because Sag, unequivocally, I hate saying that word, irrequivocably, you guys get what I'm saying, knows that there's something larger outside of ourselves that we are all connected to. And to connect with this, we need that action. And this Gemini sun that's opposing the moon, the full moon, is wanting you to express yourself in some type of way in order to tap into your right brain, your intuition. And so today is a really beautiful day to do that. I wanted to look, I have this chart down here. Vesta is still in Pisces. And so Vesta is about devotion. And it's about sacred ritual. And so this will really jive with all of this today. So light candles, take a bath, be in nature. Epsom salt baths would be really good. There's still a square going on to the nodes from Saturn and Aquarius. And so a lot of us are needing to detox in some way. And so taking Epsom salt baths would be a good way to do that. And also sunbathing. All of these would be really good. And with Jupiter, the ruler of this full moon in the sign of Aries, when we do these things, it's almost as if intuitively things get seeded or dropped into our consciousness, and they are meant to be used and utilized within time and space, which is a very Saturnian dynamic. And that there's meaning to this and why the intuition about something is coming in heavily. So later on in the day, a few hours after this full moon, there is a Chiron Mars conjunction happening in the sign of Aries. And so some of this, for some of us, could be tied into not being felt or seen when we were younger. And there can be a childhood wound there of feeling like our needs didn't get met. So if there's something happening in a relationship outside of yourself that is connected to you, where it is emphasizing that you don't deserve to have your needs met, this would be something that you would want to look into. There could be a trigger around this wound revolving that. Because oftentimes as children, we don't feel seen for who we intrinsically are. And with this Mars Chiron conjunction happening in the sign of Aries, there's kind of this energetic of that, where maybe our parents were looking at us as an extension of themselves rather than as our own individual sovereign self. And so if something comes up or a trigger comes up, to look at the deeper teaching and lesson that really what is in accordance with natural law, Sag, is that our worth never goes away. We are always worthy of having our needs met. And so the deeper teaching even into that is asking yourself, how do I meet my needs? How am I maybe externalizing and wanting outside validation instead of learning how to have that in myself? There can also be, with this conjunction with Mars and Aries, a remembrance of things that we were really into as children that we weren't able to actualize because we didn't know how to cultivate them, and we didn't have the support of our family, society, or any type of authority figure that was outside of ourselves. And so the good news is that you do have authority and you are sovereign, and now you can cultivate those things. And if this is coming in to your psyche and to your consciousness, there's a reason for it. You should be working with whatever these desires are. Some of us, it might be around traveling. This is a nod back to that Sagittarius kind of full moon energy of independence and freedom. And also, this is a nod to the Aries archetype of needing the exact same thing as a way to discover. And there's a need and a call for courage here to be able to go out and to travel if one needs to, or to seek out the knowledge, reading material that's maybe about some type of desire. Maybe when you were little, you were really into homeopathy and your parents thought it was weird or witchcraft or whatever. Well, why don't you go to like a secondhand bookstore and see what books that they have and really try to start to cultivate that and tap into that energy? Or it could be maybe that you just want to travel or you want to move somewhere else, but you're afraid to leave your family behind, because maybe you've grown really enmeshed with your nuclear family system, or maybe that there's a partnership that isn't really wanting mm, to go that way. And so maybe you're needing to step into your sovereignty and your personal autonomy and to meet your own needs in this way, because on a soul level, you want to have the freedom to have these experiences so that way you can further your growth and your evolution. So on Wednesday, later on today, Tuesday, the moon will go into Capricorn. And with this, the Capricorn moon is going to square the Mars and Chiron conjunction in Aries. And so the feelings of if you're a child who was wounded in this area and you're wanting to cultivate these things, or you're wanting to learn to meet your own needs, the square here is about really getting to the bottom and penetrating what those judgments are, where you felt judged or shamed for being who you are, for being yourself, and what is intrinsic to you. And then on the next day, Thursday, the Capricorn moon will conjunct Pluto at 28 degrees Capricorn. And this is really just amping up and punching up that energy of getting to the bottom, of penetrating where the shame and the judgment comes from that is getting in the way of you living in your personal authority and sovereignty, and being able to express yourself without fear of judgment, and not being attached to an outcome if you do express yourself. So this is a day that you would really want to claim your authority and ask yourself, like, why am I calling this in? Or why maybe did I call these dynamics in? What am I supposed to be learning here? What is the deeper teaching? What am I needing to throw off and to rebel against? What kind of societal conditioning? What needs to be penetrated and gotten to the bottom of these emotional dynamics? And then later on, the moon moves into Aquarius, and it's going to help us align with our personal values instead of the conditioned values. It's going to help throw those off. It's going to help us allow to be a group of one. And there can be a sense of confusion for some of us if we haven't really ever done this, if we've always been afraid to kind of step away or to cut ties with things that no longer serve us. And so this Aquarius moon will start bringing the courage, because the next day it's going to conjunct the Saturn in Aquarius, which is going to punch up those energetics even more as a way to learn to think for oneself. And so this is all on the heels of this summer solstice that's going to be happening. And then on Friday, Pluto will be in conjunct the sun in Gemini, and it's going to help to shine a light on whatever it is that we're needing to express some type of personal truth. Whether that be through art or using our voice or having a hard conversation with a friend or a family member or with work or whatever. There's a lot of culmination in kind of these confusing feelings this week because of being conditioned and not really realizing that we haven't been in our personal power, that we've stepped into the illusion that we're powerless, that we've actually been probably giving our power away. And so these Capricorn and Aquarius dynamics are to help to get to the bottom of it and to help to be able to express oneself in this way. And then on Saturday, the moon in Pisces will conjunct Juno. And Pisces moon is really timeless and is able to osmose reality into itself. Juno is about this like sacred commitment and relationship. And with this conjunction here, it sextiles Uranus and Taurus. And this is the energy of divine commitment to the process of personal growth in order to continue to spiritualize. It is, in essence, a commitment to continue to spiritualize and liberate from the known and familiar that is not intrinsic or in direct resonance with your sovereignty. And this is all, like I said, coming on the heels of this solstice that's happening next Tuesday. That's in the sign of Cancer. So this is really, really like setting the stage and the tone for us to be able to nurture and take care of ourselves and to understand that our worth never went anywhere and to go after these things and to not let conditioning or society hold us back. And it's about fire. It's the fire signs that are like needing the independence and the freedom to figure this out. And there is divine energy to help us, to help guide this path. All we have to do is to ask, show it to me. Do it in such a way that I understand, that I can't deny, that I know without a shadow of a doubt that this is what I'm supposed to do. And ask for the signs. This full moon happening today, you ask for these signs are going to be shown to you. All you have to do is have the courage to ask for it. And then the courage to express yourself. And so, like I said, today with this full moon, I would really tap into having a ritual of some sort where you can be in nature and to tap into your intuition if that's something that's really hard for you. And just remember that, like, I have one of my first astrological teachers used to always teach and say that the universe is kind and loving. Its wisdom is kind and loving. And I want us to all remember that. It really is kind and loving. It's divine. It is here for us to use consciously as a way to evolve and further our personal growth. And that way, we can share and disseminate that information with others and help them along their path. But first, we have to integrate whatever it is that we need to integrate into ourselves. Because, like I said, if you're going to talk the talk, you have to walk the walk. For full integration to happen, you have to have personal knowledge. And from personal knowledge comes wisdom. And that is what is meant to be shared. So this is a week of really cultivating all of this and really understanding that's your sovereign. This is a week that if you have felt powerless to claim your authority, but to do it in a natural expression and not a distorted way, to really think about it before you act. Maybe some of us are needing to apologize to others because we realize, because we've connected dots now on an intuitive basis, that some of the ways that we thought were okay to treat others is really not okay now. And that it was a conditioned way. It was a learned behavior, a learned pattern. And so claiming the authority and the responsibility to do that, that is being authentic. It is okay to say, I've changed and I've evolved and I've grown. It's not hypocritical. It's growth and it's beautiful. And there can be really deep conversations happening this week around what is true for us on an intuitive level. And there are deep conversations that are wanting to be had that are around and revolving around authority and ancestry. And so just know that if and when these things come up for you, that you have divine guidance and divine energy saying that as long as you take a moment to stop and pause and to think about how you really want to express yourself as a way to articulate and get across what you want in a way that's in direct resonance with you on a soul and emotional level, to go ahead and do it. But to do it in a way that is of the highest vibration. And the key is to not get attached with the outcome. If you have a conversation that you need to have, don't go into it thinking that if I have this conversation, having this type of expectation. No, whatever is said or whatever is expressed or disseminated, that whoever or whatever can do with the information as they want. And the key is that you are claiming authority and responsibility in whatever way, shape, or form that you need to on a soul level. And that has nothing to do with the outcome of the situation. It has everything to do with your sovereignty and to not only talk the talk, but to walk the walk. So I hope that you guys have a beautiful week. If you have questions or you want to chat about this, you can comment. And I am uploading a more detailed report like I do most often. Sometimes I miss it, but this week I did a detailed report that's written. I'm going to post the chart for the full moon so you guys can have a look at it. And there's a lot of natural truths that are wanting to be revealed and to be connected to. And one of the most important ones is that your worth has never gone anywhere. It has always stayed with you. It has never, never, never gone anywhere. And that is the biggest illusion that some of us have bought into, is that we are not worthy, that we grew up and we became worthless. And I was speaking to a friend recently, and I was talking about this kind of dynamic, and I explained to her, if a baby is on the highway and a car is about to come, are you going to let it get hit? No, that's natural law. You know that that baby has worth. It has a life ahead of itself. It has things that it needs to do in life, and it's love, pure and simple. And you go and you get the baby and you save it. Well, when the baby grows up, does that worth go away? No, the worth of the baby never goes away. And just like that baby, your worth never goes away. And the biggest illusion that some of us have bought into is that we are not worthy. And that is a direct result of feeling like our needs have not been met. And so I want you guys to connect with your needs. And I want you to connect with that deeper truth and intuition that is residing within all of us. And I want you all to ask yourself, where have I felt like I haven't had my needs met? Why have I called that in? And what am I supposed to be working on a deeper and meaningful level with this? And you can't go wrong. I love you all, and I hope you have a great week. And I will talk to you guys soon. As always, you can book a session with me on my website. My books are open. And I'm going to be having a class in the fall. And I will keep you guys all updated as we move along and keep it all trucking. Love you all. Have a great week.